Hello, my name is Mac. I am 23 years old and recently graduated from college. I was diagnosed with childhood apraxia of speech at the age of 3 and went through speech therapy until sophomore year of high school. My motivation for making this YouTube channel is to share how apraxia has impacted me throughout my life. And in future videos, I'll talk about some of the cool emergent sciences helping us better understand apraxia and speech in general. So I guess I'm making this video for a younger version of myself. I remember when I was young, I still don't actually know anyone with apraxia. And when I was young, I think around 8th grade, I'd searched the internet trying to learn more, and I came across some of these living with apraxia videos. So I thought I'll add my story. For those that don't know, apraxia of speech is a neurological speech motor disorder. So the connection between the brain and the articulators, like your mouth or your lips, is disrupted. Growing up with it shaped my childhood a lot, and it still impacts me today. But I can say I've improved a lot since when I was a little kid and even high school. Some of my earliest memories were of me talking to people to be met with blank stares. They'd have no idea what I was talking about. And that was confusing. I'd be like, why is no one understanding me? Because in my head, I sounded perfectly fine. As I got older, I became more aware that I spoke different than other people, but this led to confusion, anxious, anxiety, even anger at times. When I entered high school, my speech and reading skills did improve each year, but my speech challenges remained. They were still there. And I remember, I think more than all this stuff, I think I lacked confidence. That was I'm still trying to improve that, but confidence led me to withdraw from any social and academic interactions, whether it was raising my hand in class or speaking to someone after the bell rang or something. And I remember feeling really anxious about how all of this would impact me for my future life, both career-wise and social. Today at 23, I can say that it hasn't only shaped my past, but my present and my future as I now begin a career in neuroscience trying to study the underlying mechanisms behind speech, focusing on planning and articulation and motor aspects of speech. So this is the first video I share my journey throughout a little kid from teenager to young adult. And before I say anything, I know apraxia is a spectrum. My challenges are going to be distinct from your challenges, and my coping mechanisms and strategies might not fit your circumstance. So I just want to make that clear. So in future videos, in addition to sharing my experiences living with apraxia, I'll cover research concepts, papers, updates, all about the underlying causes of apraxia and how the brain can give rise to the most complex trait in motor task areas, which is speech. I even throw in some of the research I've been doing, first as a member of a research lab at the NYU Neuroscience Institute in the med school, and now at the University of Iowa Neurosurgery Department. So when I was really young, like around 3, a nice lady, Lynn, would come over to my house and play a bunch of board games with me, like Sorry, Connect 4, Uno, and I loved it. It was fun. I'd almost beat her every time, boosted my ego, and I thought I was the best at all these games. It wasn't until later on that I realized she was my speech language pathologist, and she was letting me win all those games. But the point was to encourage me to speak more, to focus on individual sounds like CHs or vowels that I had a hard time with. So I thank Lynn a lot for helping me with my speech. I wouldn't probably, she's helped me a tremendous amount. When I was young, around that age, I even vaguely remember, my parents more so than me, that I started my own sign language. Couple of different words, like if I was thirsty, I'd do this, which actually by chance is the real sign for thirsty in American Sign Language. I also remember kangaroo, which I couldn't say kangaroo at the time, but I watched a TV show of a kangaroo ripping apart a person's face. So I associated this sign with that animal. Another kind of fun thing is everyone in my family thought yellow was my favorite color. I had yellow, so they gave me all these yellow things, from picture frames to yellow bear, and yellow was not my favorite color, I don't think. It was probably one of the first colors I could say, whereas, a word like purple, that I even today have a harder time saying purple than yellow. So, I do not remember this, but my father always tells this story of when I was at a grocery store with my father. I was talking to him, and the old man behind us congratulated my father for raising a bilingual son. And my dad graciously accepted this compliment, and we went on with our lives. But, in fact, I was not bilingual. So I guess, in my head, I thought I was speaking perfectly fine. So it's funny hearing that story as a grown up. But, elementary school, I had a good time. I did karate, basketball. I had good friends. Couldn't speak well, really, but didn't get bullied at all. I did shy away from situations, but my friends, I had really good friends in the school system, like Cedric and Nate, some of my best friends growing up. Public speaking, on the other hand, in language classes were my kryptonite. I know most people struggle with those subjects, but public speaking, my heart pumped through the roof, and I vividly remember I won some award, and the consequence was to give a speech reading out loud the essay I wrote, which was not fun. I wish I could retract that award because I really did not want to do that. But I did it, and looking back, it was kind of like a milestone. My very first public speech, which I was proud of after my father helped me a lot practicing that speech. I rehearsed it 50 times. And in middle school and high school, people started to ask me, where's your accent from? Even in college. And I came up with this sort of, I like to call it, defense almost mechanism of saying I'm from Canada, which worked 95% of the time. Even though I don't have a Canadian accent, I am from Canada, but do not have one. So that worked really well. Again, I don't know if I recommend that, but another strategy I'd touch on quickly is I'd always circumvent my sentences. So, instead of saying words I have a difficult time with, for example, I just said difficult instead of hard, because the R next to the vowel A, I had a difficult time with. So earlier, I think I said grocery store. Usually, I say supermarket. So, I still do this today subconsciously. And as you'd imagine, it requires a lot of mental gymnastics of trying to figure out which sentences, which words, how should I phrase things. So the other person could understand me properly. And in high school, I wasn't satisfied with my speech. I became more self-conscious about it. And this led me to voluntarily enter speech therapy again at sophomore year of high school. And it helped a little bit, not as much as I would have hoped, but I think the biggest problem was confidence again, which I'm still working on, but when you hesitate and you do all this mental gymnastics, it becomes a whole mental game. For example, walking past someone in the hallway and they say, "How are you?" Like saying "How are you?" back, I struggled with that R, then it becomes this whole freezing sort of, and speech dynamic turn taken. The gap between two speakers going back and forth is around 200 milliseconds, which is almost the amount of time it takes you to blink. So when there's a pause where you have to calculate what should I say or how should I say it, or will they think I'm saying something weird, it becomes a whole debacle, which isn't good. But again, high school, I had great friends, friend Podrick. We formed a club together called Dare to Care, which was, again, another outlet for me to practice speaking in front of people. We talk about global issues ranging from climate change to genocides that no one talks about. So although I'm sharing the ways I dealt with my speech difficulties, they're not the best ways. They helped me, but I really want to re-emphasize that every single year of my life, I improved both my speech, my reading skills, and my confidence. It's demonstrated through high school, for example. My grades were not so good freshman year, but each single year until senior year, they got better and better. And my teacher's notes also reflect this, talking about my confidence and my engagement in the class. I got accepted to my dream school, NYU, where I study biology, chemistry, and neuroscience. And last May, I graduated with summa cum laude, top in my class. And I never thought I would be able to do that. And now I'm doing research, trying to learn more about how the brain gives rise to speech, the most complex motor task a human or any animal can do. So, one piece of advice I want to give anyone, but to, step out of your shell as much as you can. In college, I was a teaching assistant. I was also, I'm now leading a nonprofit educational neuroscience program. So, all of those things require me to speak in front of a bunch of people. And every week I get someone asking me, where's your accent from, or things along those lines. And so that doesn't go away. But for example, when I was a teaching assistant, one of my students asked me that during the very last day of class, and I laughed and I took a quick survey across the class, around 30 people, and I got a range of answers from Canadian, Floridian, New Yorker, Russian, French. One person said a mix between Florida and New York, which I don't know what that would sound like. But at the end, I spoke with confidence that my accent stems from childhood apraxia of speech. And that, in that moment, it felt like the tables turned, that I had control over my speech and over apraxia rather than the other way around. And for those listening that may have speech impediments, I want you to know that I'm not sharing my personal story because they mirror yours. We all have different stories and experiences. But I do want you to know that things will become more clear and you will find your way. Some things might improve, like certain syllables or sounds, your confidence, but some things might stay the same. But you will get better and better at navigating these obstacles. And don't forget to continue to grow throughout this whole experience, throughout life, every single year. And so thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll be posting a lot more content soon. Science, strategies, all this good stuff. So stay tuned and drop below feedback or anything you want me to talk about. So thank you.